It's out in the country. It really is out in way. It's like the edge of civilization between us and Rajpur. And so, that Russell Ridge is crazy. So it's really hard now to just go walking up and down the road through the farm area because no, people stop.
Oh.
You going along on their motorcycles, stop. Everybody on the motorcycle gets off, pays their obeisances. They want to chat for a while. Then I go on, same thing, just keep. Used to be you could walk all the way to Rajpur. Nityananda would do that some mornings after he got out of school. He would walk all the way to Rajpur, to the Jagannath temple, go to Mangalarti, and then walk all the way to the ISKCON temple. It's a pretty good walk. How many miles would you say that is?
Probably 5 miles. 6 miles.
At least 5 miles one way.
Maybe not 5 miles to Rajpur, probably 2 miles to Rajpur,
No,
2.5.
it's gotta be further.
If I'd ride my bike there, it would take me about 15 minutes.
Okay. But it's a long way, isn't it? You know, then you come
but
back.
especially from the Rajpur to the temple is a long way. It's quite a bit longer.
Rajpur to the temples, it's a pretty good hike.
Probably 4
And then,
miles.
I guess Keshava, he walked from the temple to the apartment. It'd take him 20 minutes.
Yeah, I would do that every day too.
You know, but I mean, he's a pretty stiff walker, you know. He walks all the way to the back and all the way back to the parking lot in Sabino Canyon every day. Unless he feels energetic, and then he walks some more, takes some trails. He's got, I'd say 100,000 miles on him already. So what are we doing here? What's the occasion? Oh, we're going to talk about Krishna.
Celebration.
So how is everyone? Everyone looks happy?
Happy.
It's good to have you back.
Happy Easter. Yes. Yes, no. Thank you. I was born in Michigan.
Who did the cooking today with Nitai on the road?
So Saide did some cooking,
Wow.
and then Shanti at the temple did some cooking,
Wow.
and I made a salad.
So you did some cooking too,
A little
huh?
bit of cooking.
Well, even though you cooked it, I'm going to eat it anyway. All right, we're going to talk about happiness. Who likes happiness? Yeah. It's like we can't get enough of it, can we? Happiness is like love. You never get to the point where you say, that's enough, I don't want any more. We always want to be happy. So, is happiness a choice?
Yes.
We choose to be happy, right? Or does it just come?
Both.
Huh?
Both.
That's a good answer, both. However, I think we're going to see, according to what Krishna says here, that it's basically, it may be both, or it may seem like both, but it actually is your choice. Pretty much it's our choice. Because we make choices, and then later on, those choices lead to happiness. You know, so we made choices. And sometimes we make the wrong choices, and it takes us to unhappiness. Has anybody done that? You know, yeah. You know, one of those, oh heck moments. You end up with a flat spot on your forehead because you're going, oh no. So we have to learn to get out of that. But sometimes we have to make some poor choices to be unhappy enough to say, I'm going to make some good choices so that I will be happy. I want to be happy. So why do we want to be happy? Seems like the world's working against us, isn't it? I mean, so if the world is working against us, I mean, there's all these terrible things in this world. There's war, famine, economic struggles. You know, there's so many things going on. Disease, old age, death. So, but yet, even though we're in this material world, we're not really of this material world. We're entitled, and we forget this. We need to remind ourselves several times a day that I am Sat Chit Ananda. I, me, not the body. Sat Chit Ananda. Sat, I am eternal. I need to remember I'm eternal. This body may go. This body may suffer. But I don't suffer. I only suffer when I identify with the body. I remember my dear godbrother, Abhiram Prabhu. What was that accent that he was using last time we saw him in Vrindavan? Who was it?
Christopher Lee accent.
Huh?
Christopher Lee,
Christopher Lee. I don't know who that is, but
British actor.
he was using kind of a British accent. Yeah, he's Abhiram. Anyway, Abhiram was very close to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was very affectionate with Abhiram because Abhiram was like a child. And as a matter of fact, just before Prabhupada left this world, he motioned for Tamal Krishna Maharaj to come. Prabhupada was very weak. So Tamal Krishna leaned in. He said, yes, Prabhupada. Both Abhiram and Tamal Krishna told me this. And Prabhupada looked at Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He said, watch after Abhiram. And shortly after that, he left his body. So watch after Abhiram. So anyway, Abhiram was the very last nurse that Prabhupada had. He took care of Prabhupada. And he and his wife were close with Prabhupada, Shruti Rupa Mataji. And but so he would bathe Prabhupada. Prabhupada couldn't care for himself in the last few months. You know, he couldn't cleanse himself. He couldn't get up and go to the bathroom. So Abhiram would take him into the bathroom. You know how the Indian bathrooms, you sit on the floor and the shower's up there and drains there. And he put Prabhupada in his lap, take Prabhupada's clothes off, and he would wash Prabhupada all over. Prabhupada couldn't do it himself. So he was washing Prabhupada. Prabhupada's face is like right here, and he's washing him. And Prabhupada looked at him, and he said, this is nasty business, isn't it? Prabhupada wasn't disturbed. He was leaving his body. His body was shutting down. He wasn't disturbed, you see. So Prabhupada knew, I am in this world temporarily, but I'm not part of it. He didn't identify with the body. So Prabhupada remained Ananda. He was always blissful, except when sometimes he had to chastise us because we were cuckoo. See? Prabhupada wanted things to go. He was very careful that things would go on nicely after he left. So many of the men that were close to him, he trained them very strictly. Now, he couldn't do that with everyone, you know, because some people, if he would chastise them, they would feel like, as Tamal Krishna Maharaj used to say, they would be like sad puppies. Guru chastised me. So they don't want the stick, they want the carrot, they want the strokes. And so Prabhupada would chastise those who were strong and could take it so that they would be educated and stronger, so that when he left, things would carry on nicely. He wanted them to be happy. He wanted all of us to be happy. He wanted us to make the right choices. So to make the right choices, you have to know what the right choices are. So I'm going to talk from Bhagavad Gita, 14th chapter. I've got several verses here. We don't really have to cover them all. I remember last week we had some really good discussion. So, you know, stop at any time with questions, comments, whatever. So, in 14th chapter, verse 9, Krishna says, O son of Bharata, that would be Arjuna, the mode of goodness conditions, excuse me, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness. So, passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance, covering one's knowledge, binds one to madness. Wow. Ignorance binds us to madness. But the mode of goodness conditions us to be happy. It paves the way to be happy. So, Prabhupada says in the purport, a person in the mode of goodness is satisfied by his work or his intellectual pursuit. Those in the mode of goodness, they feel more satisfied. I'm on the right path, I'm making the right choices, and I'm becoming enlightened. You know, my intellectual pursuits are giving me some peaceful return. And it's good to have you with us again, Zeta. And we become satisfied with our work when we're doing good work. You become at least subconsciously satisfied. Now, that doesn't mean that you're getting pats on the back. We don't really need that. We don't need a pat on the back. You know, we don't really need someone to say, hey, attaboy, you did a great job. Devotional service in and of itself is a reward. Just to be able to do the service is the reward. So sometimes people may want to tell you, that was a really good this, or you did that very nicely. Accept it like a gentleman, but we don't need that. We got to do the service, you know. So that in and of itself is enough. A man in a mode of passion may be engaged in fruitive activity. He owns as much as he can and spends for good causes. Sometimes he tries to open hospitals to give charity and gives to charity institutions. So some people may argue, but isn't opening a hospital in the mode of goodness? Yeah. But when you put your name on the hospital, the Jorge Sotel Hospital for the criminally insane, we look at it, and we want the world to see, it's got my name. I'm the guy that opened that hospital. So come on down to my Chevy dealership and buy my cars. And if you'll do that, I'll open a Buick dealership and a Ford, and I'll have all this. And if you buy enough cars, I might open another hospital and put my name on it. You see? So that's mode of passion. I'm desiring. I want. So the mode of ignorance covers knowledge. In the mode of ignorance, whatever one does is good neither for him nor anyone. When you're in the mode of ignorance, what do? You're more of a nuisance, isn't it? If you're in a room and there's only like one intoxicated person in the whole room, well, they're really a nuisance, aren't they? And if they become a little self-conscious that they're the only ones that are intoxicated, they start thinking, well, everybody's making fun of me, and so sometimes they want to fight. It's like, not so much anymore, but I used to travel around to many different cities. End up jetting my rounds walking in parks. And so you notice the different parks and the different towns that I'm at, and almost all of them had a rule: no alcoholic beverages. You can't drink anything. Well, I remember when I was a kid, everybody would be drinking in the parks. They'd be like on holidays. They'd be out there cooking up their critters. You have their critters on the grill, and they'd all be tossing down, beers and stuff. So there was a policeman in this one park, I think it might have been in Honolulu. And I just saw him and I just read the sign. I said, hey, excuse me, I see this everywhere. Why do they no longer allow alcoholic beverages in the park? Because when I was a kid, everybody went to the park to drink. Even if you weren't having a picnic, you just go there. A lot of times, people would just go there and drink. And he said because fights. When you let people get intoxicated in public, there's going to be fights. And it got to be such a dangerous thing, a threat to society, that we had to stop it. So I guess it's like that everywhere. Now, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Europe, but in Europe, unless it's changed, it used to be you could drink anywhere. Walking down the street, parks, whatever, you could just drink anywhere and everywhere. Nobody really cared. So, but maybe that's changed over the years. So intoxication covers your knowledge or your ability to access knowledge. So, mode of ignorance. So Krishna goes on, in the mode of goodness, sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. I thought about this the other night. I think I mentioned it in Krishna Cove. I remember disciple of Tamal Krishna Maharaj. All of you probably know of Kasturba Prabhu. What was the name of that?
Wisdom of the Sages.
Yeah. Are they still doing that?
It's definitely like 3 times a week now.
Marvelous contribution. But he's had some very genius realizations. And so I think it was L.A. Rathayatra, and I was going to be speaking after him. Remember, they have the questions and answers booth, so I was waiting for him. And I was just listening, and I thought, wow, this really, he's got good realizations. And he was saying that the modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are very much like the color that you see on your computer screen, or television screen, or telephone screen. So it's really just a whole bunch of little dots. If you could put a magnifying glass on it, put it on the microscope, it's just a bunch of little dots. If it's, let me see if I can remember science now. There's only 3 primary colors. Huh?
RGB, I think it's red, green, blue.
Huh?
I think it's red, green, blue.
It depends on if you're mixing liquids, liquid colors, or if you're light. It's
In art, it's red, blue, yellow. But if it's light, I think it's red.
if it's light, it's red, blue, and green. And if you mix them all together, you get white. And if there's no pixels on it at all, that's black. Absence of light is black. So you've got on this computer screen or your phone screen, there's these 3 colors are working all the time. Sometimes one color predominates over the other 2. Sometimes the other one predominates. Sometimes 2 fade out 1. So this is like the modes of material nature. Sometimes you may be in the mode of goodness, and then in the next minute you can get into the mode of passion. In the mode of passion we have intense desires, and so I may see, wow, look at the way he's got those neck beads are so. Kantimala are so nice. They're so nicely, and they're dark. I'll bet they'll never break. Who is he to walk around with neck beads? Well, I should have something like that, you see. So now I was in the mode of goodness. I was even praising the devotee. Then I noticed, well, look at those Kantimala. I should have those. So now here I am. One of the modes is starting to flare up. Passion. I As a matter of fact, I feel a little envious. Why do you have it and I don't? I think I'm entitled to that, and more entitled than you see. And so we can slide into ignorance and like that. Usually we're doing, like all day, it's like a tennis match. We're going back and forth. Goodness, passion, ignorance, goodness, passion. We're going back and forth, you know. Maybe not the devotees as much as the rest of the world, but still, we're affected by these modes. And I talk a lot about this because it's so hard for us to remember. Or we remember it, but we don't act on it. You know, we can hear, but we don't act. So, what is it? Benjamin Franklin, I've got a quote here. Benjamin Franklin said, an investment in knowledge always pays the best interest. And later on he says, well done is better than well said. You ever heard someone say, well said? Better to hear well done. So I keep repeating this a lot because we can all sit in here and we can realize I'm not my body. And there are these three modes that I have to be careful of. And so we can think like that, but as soon as we walk out the door, or even before we get out the door, we can slip into the mode of passion. How come they gave him so much? That doll is so nice. He's got a bigger bowl than I do. I think I should have that. What? What's going on here? There's some cheating. I'm being cheated. You see, now I slid into the mode of passion. It's about time to get angry here, you know, and then back up. We do that a lot. So we have to remind ourselves. As a matter of fact, I don't always succeed, but I try to ask myself from time to time, every few minutes when I feel a little bit of change, I stop and I say, okay, what mode are you in right now? You know, I don't want to be in the mode of passion. I don't want to be in the mode of ignorance. I want to be happy. So that means I have to be in the mode of goodness. However, it's kind of hard to hang on to that. So the only way for us to really drive the modes to keep them from driving us, because Krishna says the modes are really the only thing that's active. I think that I'm making all these plans and that I'm doing this, I'm the doer of that. Really the modes are driving us. And we don't know it. How many people do you think you meet in a day's time? You meet a lot of people, you're out in the business world, that even know there are modes. I don't know that there are modes. You could ask them about, you could say to one of your prospects, wow, I was really in the mode of passion this morning there for a while. Huh? What? What are you talking about? You know, they don't know. They don't know that there are modes, and yet they're being controlled by them. It's just like, you know, if you see a leaf, sometimes I remember being up in the mountains, and especially in the fall, by these rivers that go down the mountains like this, you know. And so you see a stick or a leaf carried by the current. It's just it comes by you like that, helpless. Well, we're like that. The modes are like the river, and we're being carried. And so we need to escape the modes. We need to get out of the modes. We need to move, first of all, work our way into the mode of goodness, and then work our way into the mode of pure goodness, which is not a material mode. It's not goodness, passion, or ignorance. It's a spiritual, transcendental mode. And that we get that from devotional service. We get it from bhakti. Not the hip bhakti, but real bhakti. Bhakti means, I love you so much, I want to do what you want done. I want to do for you. Never mind what I want to do for you. So when we get in the mode, the mindset of bhakti, wanting to serve Guru Krishna and the living entities, we find ourselves in the mode of pure goodness, which is not a material mode. And it helps us to better, maybe not yet completely, but better control whatever mode we find ourselves in. Because if we get in the mode of goodness, we have to be kind of careful. You know, mode of goodness sounds pretty good. Like, yeah, I want to go there and stay there, right? But what if I get in the mode of goodness and I think I'm doing everything right? I deserve a pat on the back and some recognition. You know, maybe a little bit of fame, huh? Maybe I can make some profit out of this. Adoration? Where's the adoration? Can't you see how well I'm doing? See, now I'm slipping into the mode of passion because I don't think that you're giving me the proper applause. You know? Heck, that was really good. But yet you didn't notice it. So if I stay in that mode of pure goodness, then I can use the modes instead of the modes using me. Does that make any sense? Yeah.
Sometimes we find that we have the desire to be in the mode of pure. I think devotees ideally should desire to be in the mode of pure goodness. We're chanting Hare Krishna. We're asking Krishna, please engage me in your service. And we want unmotivated, uninterrupted service, but we find that the modes are affecting us. You know, ignorance, passion, or goodness. They can affect us in such a way that it feels hard to resist the pool of various modes. So how are we to deal with that? How are we to deal with this kind of, doesn't necessarily mean sinfulness, but this pool of the modes in general? How are we to deal with the desire to be in the mode of goodness, but at the same time the modes are pulling us? And we know we're not this body also. We know that we have nothing to do with any of these actions and reactions. And the soul wants Krishna, but simultaneously sometimes it feels like we are completely controlled.
It's like, you know, on, I think, most cars, I would say every car, but who knows, they have a speedometer, you know. Now it's just numbers, which I like better than the thing, because isn't it better as we get older? I'd rather you just tell me I'm doing 50, rather than look on the needle and try to see, and then by that time I'm going to hit somebody. So, yeah, you know, in this new car I got, the numbers are big. So I can tell when I'm, you know, how fast I can just take a glance. So we need to look. We need to be our own speedometer. We need to be aware, not just every so often, as close to every minute as possible. You know, where am I? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? You look at your car. You know, if we only had warning lights, we have, like our cars have warning lights. A little ting, ding, check engine light, or overheating. We need a mode light that'll come on and says, well, you're slipping into the modes. You're in the mode of goodness. That's not acceptable for one who wants to stay in the mode of pure goodness. We want to stay in the mode of pure goodness. Now, I can stay in the mode of pure goodness. Well, let me ask you this question. Can I stay in the mode of pure goodness?
Yes.
And be in the mode of passion at the same time?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Yes? Oh, that's crazy.
Yes.
But you're right. Yeah. If I'm in the mode of pure goodness, then I may use the mode of passion. I'll harness it, and I'll ride that mode of passion to help me achieve my goal for Krishna. What did Krishna want Arjuna to do?
Get in the mode of passion.
Get in the mode of passion. I want you to go kill hundreds of millions of people. A lot of them are going to be your relatives. So Arjuna's got to get really in the mode of passion. Well, he's standing there talking to Krishna. He's totally in the mode of pure goodness. He's having his lifelong friend. He's connecting the dots. Well, you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I mean, he's having one of those aha moments. He's really in the pure mode of pure goodness. Krishna says, I want you to get in the mode of passion. I want you to be a warrior, first-class warrior. You see? So, sometimes we use the mode of goodness. Sometimes you have to be very good. Like if you're talking to people that you don't know very well, you have to be very good in your presentation of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, depending on who's there, you can be a little bit more in the mode of passion. Like, we've got to change this. This has got to be changed. We've got to do this for our community to thrive. We have to do it with it more passion, depending on your audience. I can remember Tamal Krishna Maharaj, sometimes we'd have a gathering in his room, and a topic would come up. And he would put his hand on his chin and he'd say, okay, everyone leave and go out in the hall and chant one round. You stay, and you stay, and you stay. Everyone else go chant a round. Now I learned pretty quick that when this happens, he wants the more innocent, younger people who may be, you want to protect them from this energy of, we've got to do this, we've got to get better, So he would say, there was a certain few that would always be there. I want you to stay, because I've got to amp it up a little bit. And then when the nice new kids would go out, the innocent, they would go out in the hallway to chant, he would turn to me, why are you letting this go on? And where are you? How come you're, it's like, what is going on here? So all of a sudden we're in the mode of passion. Wow, we were in pure goodness there. Boy, now he's hammering. Well, it's this. Sometimes he would say, oh yeah, okay, all right. But to get to the decision, he had to introduce that mode. So when we would get there, we'd have some people who would say, come up with some way to solve some problem that we had unearthed. He would say, okay, tell them all to come back in. So sometimes you need to be in the mode of goodness. Sometimes you need to be in the mode of passion. Do we ever need to be in the mode of ignorance? Huh?
You gotta sleep.
You gotta sleep. Yeah. So, boy, that's a hard one, isn't it, to sleep? I didn't go to sleep till 5 o'clock this morning. How I'm awake, I have no idea. And I woke right back up. So
I mean,
huh?
but then we're talking about, sometimes we feel like it's not, obviously it's not, conscious. We may not want to be, doing something where we get angry, or we get angry or something like that is a good example. And that, that anger was unnecessary or something like that. And so then we're in the modes, and it's not, it's not out of bhakti, it's out of sense gratification, but still there's that sense of, I don't want to be doing this, but we're overwhelmed by the feeling in our own body, mind, and consciousness.
Right.
So how do we escape that?
We've got to stay out of the bodily consciousness. Now, I mean, you and I know we're not our bodies. We all know we're not our bodies. I don't think there's anybody in this room that wouldn't agree that, nobody would say, yeah, I am my body. No, we all agree. As soon as we walk out that door, we're going to start dealing with the world as if I am my body and you are your body. Well, gee whiz, I don't know if I like, look at this guy. Look how dark his skin is. Why, he's got a different accent. Well, your body is not from my country. Wow, there's a big wall between us. Look at the way he walks. We don't walk like that in our neighborhood. You see what I mean? I get on the bodily consciousness. Now, I'm overemphasizing it, but we do that subtly. We do it with ourselves. Someone may tell you, I've seen people get very hurt when they would do something like, in the very old days, there for a while, many of the devotees would wear what they referred to as a top dhoti. There's no such thing as a top dhoti. They were imitating or emulating Prabhupada's wearing of the sannyas yaki, the cloth you tie around your neck. Sometimes it goes, where you're in the temple and doing worship, it goes under the arm. Otherwise, it goes around the neck so that for begging, you know. And so some devotees, they say, well, the sannyasis do that, Prabhupada wears like that, so I'm going to do it too. And so they would be wearing this, what they called a top dhoti, and someone would say, no, you can't wear your chadar like that unless you're a sannyasi. You can't tie it like that, you know. They'll get their feelings hurt. Especially if there's other people listening to you tell me that I shouldn't do that. Now I'm all hurt. Well, why? Because I wanted I didn't want to let go of what little bit of fame that I may have, or I'm on the bodily platform. Why can't you just say, oh, thanks for telling me. I didn't want to walk around looking like an idiot. I'm indebted to you for telling me that. Thanks. Thank you. But no. What? Well, what's wrong? I mean, how many times have you heard that when you tell somebody, you correct them? Well, what's wrong with it? So, well, I mean, in your world, maybe it's not wrong. If you want to live in your world, wear it any way you want to. I'm just telling you etiquette, Vaishnava etiquette, you see. So that particular piece of clothing, the way the sannyasis wear it, is for a purpose. They have to wear it, the renounced order, because it marks them as beggars. They take that yucky and they hold it up for, begging. Can you give a donation? So did somebody, did you have a
So
question?
it's not important to try to identify your fears that are driving your ignorance or your passion? That's not an important step.
No, that's good to do. You need to search them out. You need to face your fears, because I hope I'm not too blunt, but sometimes I can't think of nice ways to say things, but fear is just lack of Krishna consciousness. What have I got to be afraid of? Who was that guy? Cover of Mad Magazine? Alfred E. Newman. Yeah. Remember his saying was, what? Me worry? So we've got to be kind of like that. What? Me worry? I'm part and parcel of Krishna. Well, I'm an eternal part and parcel of the Supreme. So I'm eternal. What do I have to be afraid of? Well, you could kill me. Yeah, but you're just gonna kill my body. I'm just gonna take another one or go back to Godhead. So fear is something that devotional life will take away from you. You can't keep it. If you get into Krishna consciousness, it'll remove your fear. Fear and loneliness are two things that I noticed that when you become a devotee, they go away. You don't even know when they go. But time goes by and you look back and you think, wow, I know what fear is. I don't remember what it's like. I don't remember what it tastes like. It's like it's been 53 years or something like that since I've tasted meat. I know what it is. I don't remember the taste. Do you remember? I can't, So fear is like that. I know what it is. I could define it, and I don't know how it feels. And loneliness. I know what it is. I can recognize it in other people. But it's been so many years, so many decades since I felt it that I don't remember what it really feels like. To believe in loneliness to me seems like, and to a lot of people, seems like a child believing in Santa Claus. Hope I didn't hurt any feelings in this. Sometimes people, yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot she was here. What about Santa Claus? Next thing you're going to be talking about the Easter Bunny. So, yeah, when we're in lack of Krishna consciousness, meaning our consciousness of our relationship with Krishna has become so thin, so watered down, that I may feel some fear of what? Ask yourself. It's a good thing to ask yourself.
Usually it's fear of fear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to be afraid of fear, because I don't want to be afraid. I refuse to be afraid. I don't have to, and I'm not going to do it. So, does that answer your question? It's a good question. We have to, whenever we feel ourselves feeling fear or loneliness or some other things, but those are two that I always think about. When you start to feel that, you got to do a check. You know, like, look at the dashboard, see if there's any lights on. Something's wrong. What's going on here? Why am I in the modes? Why am I getting upset? You got to be able to catch it right away and say, oh, this is wrong. I need to back up, put it in rewind. I think, did you have a question?
Yes, so what about fear or worry, like in a transcendental nature? For example, Srila Prabhupada preparing to come to the United States, feeling overwhelmed, having that fear of being able to carry out the order of his spiritual master. I mean, externally, that would look like he was worrying.
Let's say he was concerned, but not concerned of failure. He a little bit, he was thinking, I don't know if I can carry out the desire of my spiritual master. That's out of love. It's like if you're in love with someone and you're preparing dinner for them, you may feel a little uneasy that what if it doesn't come out as well as it should? So that's more like concern rather than fear. I want to do this as an offering to my Guru. Not that I want the end result. I want to go start a movement. Prabhupada was not attached to fame, profit, adoration, distinction. No attachment whatsoever. Krishna gave him fame, profit, adoration, and distinction because he knew that Prabhupada would use them in his service. He would use them to serve Guru and Krishna. So that's kind of a transcendental. When you add love to the equation, then these emotions take on a whole different, pretty much a different meaning. I'm concerned that I won't be able to, and so then I just have to tell myself I just have to surrender to the instruction. If I surrender to the instruction, along with the instruction from the Guru comes the potency to carry out the instruction. And I have to hang on to that. I mean, we may think, what are my qualifications? I feel a little unsettled. I feel some fear coming up, I'm afraid that I can't do my service. Who am I to do? This is a lofty task to spread this movement. But that doesn't matter. The spoils belong to Krishna. The rewards belong to Krishna. You see, it's like when you go out distributing books and you only distribute like 2 or 3 and you start to think, oh no. Well, the rewards belong to Krishna. If you do 2 or 3, maybe that's what's making Krishna happy. If you did 100, well, some people may think, well, I want to do 100 books today so that I'll get a whole bunch of pats on the back. They'll mention me tomorrow morning after Mangal Arati. I'll get praises. I'll feel like I'm getting what I deserve. No, you just want to be able to do the service. The fruits always belong to Krishna. I do some activity, whatever that may invoke, whatever fruits come from that, those belong to Krishna. And I'm working in partnership with Krishna. We're working together. I'm his servant. He's serving me. He's giving me everything, including empowerment to do the service. that he wants me to do. So if he only lets me distribute 2 books today, I'm still out there doing what I can for him. You know, we're working together. I'm just, and it may be if I didn't do as many books as I wanted to, it might be my lack of surrender. But either way, I got to do the service. Good answer? Yeah.
So, speaking of fear, there's this verse that I mentioned last week on Krishna Co, but it says, you know, like sometimes we fear Maya, you know, we're terrified. I mean, I feel terrified of Maya, you know, like horrified, you know, it's this, you know, or situations that could compromise my Krishna consciousness, or when I'm acting in a way that could compromise my Krishna consciousness. But then at the same time, we're into the mode, so sometimes we have to go to those circumstances. So then Krishna says, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate, this is the same chapter, illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering, undisturbed through all the reactions of the material modes, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing the modes alone are active, is situated in the self. So Krishna is saying that we don't hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, nor long for them when they disappear, and we're unwavering. So how are we to understand this? Because like the idea would be that, you know, if we're in Maya, you know, we tend to beat ourselves up, we tend to feel fearful, you know, I'm going to lose my Krishna consciousness, I'm going to displease my guru, or, you know, all these different kind of thoughts are going to come to us, which basically bewilder us. It seems that Krishna is saying we shouldn't feel that way, so can you help enlighten us on that?
Yeah. We should always feel 2 ways. We're in love. We're in love with Krishna, and we want to show him. We love our guru. We want to prove it to the spiritual master. So as Narahari was talking, we may feel something similar to fear that I won't please him to the level that I want to. You see, I may feel, oh, what if I don't do this? What if I don't do that? Okay, so from that, at least maybe I'll learn what I did wrong. Because no matter what, you have to have resolute determination. No matter what, I may get knocked down. I may get out here and I may fall into Maya. I'm out here trying to distribute books, but I fall in with the crowd, and now all of a sudden I've got crazy thoughts in my mind. So maybe I get knocked down, but I'm getting right back up. You just look at Maya and say, you know, my dear Maya, you're going to have to kill me. Because you may knock me down, but I'm getting right back up. So that's where it is. That's the way. That's the lay of the land. And I know you're going to continue to try to knock me over. Sometimes you might. But I'm going to get right back up. Because you know what? I don't have any place else to go. We get to the point where Tamal Krishna Maharaj used to call it the point of no return. After you've been a devotee long enough. And it could be 6 months, 6 years, 60 years, whatever it takes. But after a certain point, you realize, where are my choices? What, am I going to go out and start eating meat, go into happy hour, blend in with America or Europe or wherever I am? Am I going to just go out there? I decided that I'm not going to do this anymore. Well, what would that look like, hanging around out there in that world without your life preserver, Krishna consciousness? You know, you're drowning in this ocean of illusion, and we're hanging on to our Krishna consciousness. What are your choices? If you're in the ocean and you're hanging on to the life preserver, do you really have a choice to let it go? I mean, if you let it go, you're finished. So a sane man wouldn't do that. I don't have a choice. There is no choice. I may get all of these temptations. There might even be a fall down. I remember, what's his name? Sannyasi. Huh? He was spent a lot of time in Australia. Left his body now. Huh? Madhavis, yeah. It's actually pronounced Madhudwish, but we always called him Madhavisa because we didn't know how to speak, you know. And so he was sannyasi. Prabhupada called him the emperor of kirtan. He had a voice. He could get in a room and just, Prabhupada should have named him Kirtaneshwar. But he had this voice that could just enchant the entire world. Vishnu John Swami was like that too, but Madhavisa was more powerful. You know, he could just, you ever hear him? Amazing.
I did some plays with him.
Huh?
I did some plays with him.
Yeah, I mean, amazing devotee. And so he fell down. He worked all the way up. He was one of Prabhupada's closest men. He told me, before he left his body, he told me that one of our godbrothers had a pair of Prabhupada's shoes. And he said, I got 108 letters from Prabhupada, and he's got a pair of Prabhupada's shoes. You know, so I mean, he was popular with Prabhupada, and he fell down. Fell down from sannyas, from one of the most famous men in our movement. Went to Hawaii, found a gal. She got pregnant, grew his hair out, tried to go back into the hippie life. And then he heard, oh, Prabhupada is very ill. Someone said, you should go see Prabhupada, he's not going to live. So he says, yeah. Yeah, no, of course. So he got on the plane, he's got this long hair, and he got off in Delhi, and I can't remember exactly how the story goes, but anyway.
Couldn't see Prabhupada that way, so
he started thinking, I can't go in front of Prabhupada with this stupid hair, what am I thinking? So we found a guy, you know how it is in India, a guy on the street, he's got a razor, straight razor.
500 rupees.
500 rupees. Actually, 40 rupees unless you're a sucker. It's Ekadashi. Well, they put you through the ringer, didn't they?
800 rupees later.
Yeah, for a $40 shave. Shave and
40 rupees.
haircut. So he went to one of these guys and they, you know. But the guy didn't know what to do. He left his sika was still that long hippie hair down to his butt, you know. So, and then he went out to Vrindavan, went into Prabhupada's room. This is after he fell down, which was a big disappointment to the movement. And so he came into Prabhupada's room and he immediately dove on the floor in front of Prabhupada, paid his obeisances. And Prabhupada said, thank you for coming. You know, so nice. How is your wife? How is your child? You know?
He also said Madhavisa is keeping such a very nice sika.
Yeah, he said, oh, look, your Madhavisa is keeping such a nice sika. I mean, it was kind of goofy, you know, but he didn't think that I need to trim this off, you know, because we can't see ourselves from the back all the time. He's keeping such. So immediately, Prabhupada is forgiving. You know, Madhavisa was one of those sannyasis that, one of the disciples that Prabhupada could chastise because, you know, sometimes if you're going to teach, like teaching a child, you have to chastise them. It can't always be, now you should be nice. You shouldn't throw rocks through our neighbor's windows. You know, you got to say, you can't do that. You know, sometimes Prabhupada could do that with certain of his disciples, and they wouldn't get all hurt and leave. Others he would tell somebody else. You go tell him this, you know. Sometimes that's necessary. So, did I get off the subject? Was I?
No, you're telling the story of Madhavisa.
Yeah, okay.
You're good.
We were speaking about, you know, how if Maya, you know, well, my response to what you're saying is that even if we, you know, like we know we're not this body, then really we can't be affected by anything. It's kind of what I'm understanding. You know,
Right.
we may have a momentary lapse of consciousness, but then we're back in the consciousness. I'm a servant of Krishna. We just continue going.
Right.
So that's kind of.
You get up, you dust yourself off, you get back in the ring, and go to it again.
My grandpa used to say that so much. Get up, dust yourself off, and keep going. It's one of his phrases.
Get in the ring. Get back in the ring. Ladies first.
So in order for us, how do we really define pure goodness? Because pure goodness would mean like honesty and truth and integrity.
It means, pure goodness means I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm thinking what I'm thinking. I'm saying what I'm saying as an offering to Krishna.
Right, but people have a tendency to have like a cheating propensity. So they'll say, well, I'm doing this for Krishna, but it's really self-serving. So how do you know?
Sometimes we can be a little bit of a rascal. We can be doing it for ourselves, but claim it's for Krishna. But in time, that'll go away. We'll become more and more purified. You know, it's like, if your activity during the day is selling houses, So I'm a house salesman, realtor, right? That's the term. But I'm not an ordinary realtor. I'm Krishna's realtor. So that means the other guy he might even not only put a spin on what he tells you, might even lie to you. But I can't go there. Because I'm Krishna's realtor. I'm doing this as an offering to Guru and Krishna. So therefore, I'm going to be a horse of a different color. I'm doing the same activity, but because you're doing it for your own gain, greedy gain, I'm greedy to do something nice for Krishna. So I want the profit, but I'm going to do it in a gentlemanly way. I'm going to remain a gentleman or a gentle lady. I'm going to always, first, last, and always, think, act, and speak like a Vaishnava as an offering to Guru and Krishna. They do the same thing as everybody else, but that's my motivation. That's mode of pure goodness. And when we do like that, we start to make our decisions in that mode of pure goodness, which is better than making decisions in the mode of goodness. Making decisions in the mode of passion is not good. Making decisions in the mode of ignorance is just not good. It's not good for you or anybody.
Defining it, though, so that it's easy to say, oh, I'm a devotee, so automatically it means I'm just doing it.
Yeah, it's like we get upset when people are dishonest with us, don't we? I mean, I do. I think most people, if somebody tells you a lie and you catch them in a lie, doesn't that kind of make you feel a little put out? So we want people to be honest with us. But yet I can't be honest with myself. If I can't be honest with myself, to thine own self be true. Is that in the Bible?
Yes, sounds good.
Huh? The priest says no.
Shakespeare.
Oh, he was in the Bible, wasn't he?
Shakespeare.
So if I can't be honest with myself, and yet I get all upset when you're not honest with me, well, I'm kind of wacky, right? I'm a little cuckoo, troubled by the modes. So no, I want to be honest with myself. I may make a demand from you to be honest with me. Why can't I do that with me? I mean, why can't I depend on myself to always shoot me straight? Always. And I'll kind of like myself a little bit better if I'm honest with me. It's just like you like people a little bit better when they're honest with you. Even when the truth hurts, it's good to know the real truth. I remember in Dallas, all of the leaders there in Dallas, Gopal Bhatta Prabhu was, you know Gopal Bhatta Prabhu? Prominent disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He's become a mega millionaire. He owns a closet something business. Who here knows?
California closets.
Yeah, I think it's Closet Closets. Annual revenues of over 30 million a year. You know, for decades.
He gave 10,000 to our temple just recently.
Huh?
He gave 10,000 to the temple just recently.
At Tucson Temple? Yeah, I mean, he's the real deal. And I remember whenever I needed some advice, I would go to him. First and foremost, I'd go to him because he would tell you exactly how it is. You know, sometimes he would say, oh, you know, you're exactly right. I understand how you feel that way. Sometimes he would say, well, Jivananda, you're just in Maya. This is Maya. Huh? You know, I wouldn't go, oh, I want to go, I'll ask him because he'll tell me I'm a good boy. Yeah. And so many of the leaders, they would always go to Gopal Bhatta. But sometimes you didn't want to go to Tamal Krishna Maharaj, you know. A lot of times he wasn't there. So Gopal Bhatta was everybody's favorite because he would tell you the truth. Why can't we be that way with ourselves? If you're in Maya, tell yourself, this is Maya, and you know it. It doesn't mean that you're a jerk. You know, you're just having a jerk moment. You know, sometimes we may do stupid things. It doesn't mean we're stupid. It just means we're having a stupid moment. So as we are honest with ourselves, once in a while you'll find yourself saying, you were wrong and you shouldn't have said that. And you shouldn't certainly have said it the way you said it. And now I feel better about me. I'm being honest with me. And so maybe I need to back it up and apologize or at least do it differently going forward. Be my own resource if I'm honest with myself. So sometimes we see people that, devotees that may apply the philosophy in such a way, or a Prabhupada said. There's a lot of that going on. But they're really stretching it. They're trying to make something Prabhupada said or something Scripture says to fit their own particular moment or their own particular goal, something that they want. So now I've departed from Prabhupada's goal and I have my own goal. A lot of that. We should always just be able to realize if somebody that has a goal, is that your goal or is this Prabhupada's goal? In our movement, we work for Prabhupada's goals. Or we should. This is Prabhupada's movement. No matter who you are, what your position is, no matter which big temple you manage or your big guru, how many disciples, none of that matters. We follow Prabhupada. We are Prabhupada Nugas. All we have to do is remember that. So be our own friend and tell us, get back on the path. You've strayed off the path. Get back on it. Go forward. Get out of the modes. You can use them, but don't live in them. Don't let them affect you. And allow yourself to admit to yourself when you're in the modes, even if it's the mode of goodness. Well, I'm trying to be good because I want people to like me. What if they don't? Well, now I'm going to slide into the mode of passion if I'm not careful. You know. So I'm good to people because that's what Krishna wants me to do. They're his parts and parcels, and he wants me to treat them with love and respect. I want to get them on the path to go back home, back to Godhead, at whatever cost that may be. But I'm going to stay in the mode of pure goodness as long as I can and try to give them direction based on trying to get them to become Prabhupada Nugas. We've got time for, are there any more questions or can we wrap it up? Oh, I forgot, Kirtan Yagya.
Oh, thank you. I was talking about, I'm going to say something about fear, that it has different level of fear for different people. sometimes it has positive use of fear, like if I go to the street, a car is coming, if I am not fearful, I may be killed. So fear has positive use in our life. And Prabhupada also would be fearful about Maya. Then whenever he would go to the temple and have darshan of deities, he would pray in that way, my dear Lord, please keep me protected from Maya. And when Lord Brahmaji saw Krishna, he could see Krishna's Maya. So he would be fearful. But the material people, when they are fearful, that is completely, here Bhagavatam says that, let me read the translation. Fear arises when a living entity misidentifies himself as the material body because of absorption in the external illusory energy of the Lord. When the living entity thus turns away from the Supreme Lord, he also forgets his own constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. This bewildering, fearful condition is affected by the potency for illusion called Maya. Therefore, an intelligent person should engage unflinchingly in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, whom he should accept as his worshipable deity and as his very life and soul.
Very famous verse.
This is from Bhagavatam 11, 5.
We forget
11 to 37.
that when we turn away from Krishna, we're also turning away from ourselves. You see? Who am I really? If we knew, it's like some devotees used to ask Prabhupada, what is your swarup? What is your position with Krishna? And I remember one time Prabhupada said, if I told you, you would faint. If you knew who you were, you would faint. I mean, who you really are, not this body or who we're convinced, that we are. If you knew who you are in Krishna's eyes, your head would explode. You couldn't deal with it. So when we turn away from Krishna, we also turn away from ourselves. Because think of what has to happen, what has to take place for you to be able to turn away from Krishna. I mean, this attraction of Krishna is so intense. It's not even possible. But you get the desire. It's not possible. So Krishna brings in Maya. And she confusion. Now I'm confused. I don't know. I've lost who I am. And now I'm going to go see who I can be. You see? So when you turn away from Krishna, there's a world of fear out there. You better be afraid. If you're not convinced that you're not this body, if you think you are the body, you better be afraid at every step. But if you've overcome that, I'm just part and parcel of Krishna. I'm just a servant. I don't have to run the world. It's like sometimes people are talking about, we need to do this, we need to save the planet. No, you don't have to do anything. You need to go home. Krishna will take care of his planet. It's not yours. You don't need to clean it up. You need to stop trying to mess it up, because it's just going to hurt you. But this is Krishna's energy. You just need to go home. Go home. Get out of here. Take as many people with you as you possibly can. There's a cleanup crew that's very expert. It's going to clean everything up. It'll be pristine again. All right, I think we should wrap it up. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I hope it came off okay. I don't know. I haven't slept. I don't know how it's coming off.